The Housing, Urban Development, and Zoning Committee will be called to order. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Davis,
Present.
Alderman Cone, Alderman Coder, Alderwoman Boyd,
Present.
Alderman Muhammad, Alderwoman Martin, Alderman Narayan, Alderwoman Evans,
Present.
Chairman Boyd,
Present.
Alderman Cone, Alderman Coder, Alderman Muhammad, Alderwoman Martin, Alderman Narayan. 4 present, quorum is not established. I see Alderwoman Martin, but it's on mute and I do not see her picture.
Okay, Madam Clerk, we're going to move on. First of all, I want to apologize for not being able to start on time. This is kind of a special meeting that was called to accommodate my colleagues from the 9th Ward, as well as my colleague from the 6th Ward, due to needing to
Hi,
get
I don't know. I'm not getting
any.
any audio. I just thought no one was talking. I'm sorry.
Okay, I recognize Alderman Martin is present. Madam Clerk, please take note of that.
Oh, no.
We do have a quorum, but again, I just want to apologize for not being able to start on time. This is kind of a special meeting to accommodate the Alderman from the 9th, as well as the Alderwoman from the 6th. And some of our colleagues had to rearrange schedules on a short notice. So I really appreciate my colleagues that could show up. Thank you so much. I want to just say that first and foremost. And we're going to go ahead and start with resolution number 39. And I'm going to keep everybody long. I'm trying to do this decent in order. So we heard quite a bit of testimony on resolution 39, but the sticking point was that we had not heard from the owner. So some of the members didn't really know much about the owner and what they actually do, although it sounds like a great project. The other sticking point was the owner and was something else. Oh, the assurance. And so we're going to have Jonathan Ferry kind of, again, give us an example of the difference between tax assurance and tax abatement. So what we're going to do is go ahead and start with SLDC. Jonathan, I don't see him. Is Jonathan Ferry with us?
He was.
I'm here.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Okay. I can hear you, but I don't see you.
I just turned my video on.
Okay. So, Jonathan, you did send me an example, and I'll be honest with you, it was still kind of confusing. I really didn't understand it, but I did see in the Google Drive that you or Zachary, somebody sent us something else. But go ahead and share with us, again, the examples of tax assurance versus tax abatement so that we can get a good educational understanding of that. And then we will hear from, excuse me, the owner of the project, which sounds like a great project. So I don't want anybody having any anxieties about anything. We want to just, again, kind of do this decent in order. And unfortunately, Jonathan Ferry is just kind of like spinning again like last time, unfortunately, which means that the city of St. Louis needs to really invest in themselves when it comes to technology. We have all this stimulus money, and I would really hope that the city of St. Louis is looking at trying to streamline how we can all communicate, with all the different departments, even the county offices, so that we don't experience these delays as we're seeing right now. Not good. Okay.
Can you guys hear me right now?
We can hear you, but we can't see the examples for you to explain to us what you're trying to share the screen. Is that correct?
Right. I'm trying to share the screen.
And that's not working good.
Try it different.
So
maybe we have to individually pull it up.
But I want the public to understand and see. We want to be as transparent as possible. So what we're going to do is, Jonathan, you can still try to share your screen. I'm going to go ahead and recognize Mr. Rick Jones. Let's see here. I want to make sure I do things in order. excuse me, Mr. Rick Jones is signing for speed on behalf of STC Warehouse. So let's put before us a resolution number 39. So resolution 39 is before us. Alderman Guenther, go ahead and talk to us about, tee us up for resolution 39.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, absolutely appreciate Chairman Boyd being able to take this up again. We had a long discussion a few weeks back, and he was very Alderman Boyd was very accommodating when I was out of town, and Mr. Ferry were both out of town to be able to bring us all back together here on short notice. So thank you to all the committee members that are able to join us to get a quorum to be able to hear Resolution 39. So again, Resolution 39 is for STC warehouses. They're phase 3 of development. They have multiple warehouses currently right along the riverfront at Sidney Street and First Street. They are looking to expand. As many of you remember, about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, we did a lot of work with Anheuser-Busch to bring $175 million worth of development to Anheuser-Busch. And when we talked about that development, one of the things that I was talking about were the jobs and other opportunities that will come with that expansion. And so one of the other opportunities that has come is Mr. Jones, that owns STC Warehouses, is the direct supplier of the cans and kegs and everything that we fill products with. At the last discussion, we also, I had mentioned that it's not only AB products, but it's also, he has multiple canning facilities. He has 3 warehouses, the one in St. Louis, but then also 2 other warehouses in Illinois that he provides canning services to many different bottling providers. So the 2 sticking points, like you had mentioned from the last conversation, one was the committee wanted to hear from Mr. Jones. So I thank him for being available today. Sorry we got started a little bit late, but I do appreciate him being able to talk about STC, how long they've been in St. Louis, how many employees they have, and kind of what they are offering to provide in addition with this new development. And then also some kind of clarification from SLDC. There were a lot of questions on the differences between abatement versus assurance. This is something that a project that when STC and myself, SLDC, worked with the mayor's office to come up with a solution that would work for everyone. So I asked someone from the mayor's office to be on the call today. I know they were on 2 weeks ago, but I think they have a lot going on with E&A and Board Bill 2. So I don't see anyone from the mayor's office here, but this is something that we worked with the mayor's office to come to an agreement and offer this 10-year tax assurance. So with that, I will let John Ferry speak now. He has his example up to kind of talk about the differences. I also wanted him to try to explain, because one of my main questions with him, and I know that for the committee members, we're going to ask about the scorecard, but being as that this is a warehouse project, Jonathan was able to explain very in depth to myself as to how I guess land usage per square foot is different on a warehouse versus other industrial, which this is in an industrial area. So hopefully he can talk about that a little bit as well. So Jonathan, go ahead and kick it off.
Wait a minute, hold up, Alderman.
Oh,
hold up,
sorry.
Alderman. So yes, Jonathan, I think did tell us, he did give us a score the first time we talked about this, and I think it met I think it was 3.5 or something like that. Jonathan, correct me if I'm wrong, but you did give us a score.
Correct. It was 3 out of 5.
Okay, 3 out of 5. Okay, Jonathan, what I'm going to do is I'm going to thank you for being able to get your screen share, but I'm going to go back to the owner just so we can get that out the way, so he can tell us about all the great things they did. It seems like Alderman Guenther did a good job at talking about it, but I want to see if what he has to say, and if there's a committee members want to say anything, and then we'll talk about tax assurance versus tax abatement, and then we'll take a vote. Okay, so I'm going to recognize right now Mr. Rick Jones with STC Warehouse. Mr. Jones.
Thank you for letting me speak.
Okay, Mr. Jones, wait a minute. I have to swear you in. We have this new rule. Actually, you're a presenter, so I don't. You're right, so I don't have to. I just want to make sure I do things decent in order because we have these new rules. They're progressive rules, and I don't want anybody, cut me up on Twitter because I didn't say something, But I think if you're presenting on a bill, then we don't have to swear you in. But if you're testifying on a bill, then we do have to swear you in. So I think I'm right in that you don't have to be sworn in. But we just want to hear from you. Tell us more about your company, the history of your company. More about what you do. Why is this important to you? So go ahead. And again, for the record, you just gonna tell us who you are, who you represent, and all that stuff.
Okay, my name is Rick Jones. I'm the owner of STC Warehouse. This is a second generation family-owned company. My dad started it back in 1985. And we built the first building, I believe, in 1989 or 87. Since then, we've grown substantially with the Anheuser-Busch. As you guys know, with the 2 additions of the warehouse over the years. And we've come across where warehousing space is getting tight again, and in the city close to the Anheuser-Busch Brewery. So we decided that we need to try to move forward and get us another put up. We do a lot of different things. We do keg storage, pallet storage, can storage, glass bottle storage. It's very labor intensive. We have, I believe right now, we are, and it changes daily, guys. So as far as employees go, I think we are at 40 because we've started hiring and trying to train some people on the new Stella project that Anheuser-Busch is doing, not only here in St. Louis, but also in Los Angeles, Newark, and Jacksonville. So they, I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, but Stella was brewed in the EU and they've pulled it over to the United States. So they've asked us to support their glass, their half barrels, cans, and all that. So the St. Louis brewery will be running from what I was told, at 90% capacity, or almost 100, for the first time since the 1980s. The Stella project. It's really neat. It's been kind of a hang-on process because it's gone so crazy, but it's pretty interesting with them pulling that into the United States. So they're asking me for more support, for the storage of the glass, the cans for that project. We also store like for Pepsi and stuff, St. Louis and stuff like that. So we're kind of at a tipping point of expansion.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. Thank you for that sharing. Because we're sharing screens with Jonathan with his Excel spreadsheet. I don't want to risk moving away from that. So I'm going to go to some committee members. We're used to seeing everybody on the screen at one time. But right now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go down and ask if anybody have any questions for you, okay? So we're going to start with Alderwoman Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I also want to say this is an exciting project, and I've been kind of aware of the inner workings of it for a moment. I do know that the expansion at Anheuser-Busch has made opportunities for people who normally would not even have a chance to have a job that started at $30 an hour. So hopefully you will continue with the relationship that Anheuser-Busch has as you increase your employment with the additional people. They used Save Our Sons program with the Urban League, and they also worked with Slate. And hopefully you will do the same thing as you are adding new employees.
Okay, anything else, Alderwoman Davis?
That's it.
Thank you for sharing. Alderman Cone.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't have any questions, but thank you for your continued presence in the city as a business owner. It's great to have those ties to the community and connections to our city. So appreciate you remaining a city-based business, and it's good to hear that you're expanding your footprint.
Thank you.
Okay, Alderman Kotar. Alderman Kotar joined us. Okay, Alderwoman Pam Boyd.
No questions.
Okay, Alderman Muhammad. Alderwoman Mark.
No questions, just happy everyone was able to come provide more information, and I support this project. Thank you.
Okay, Alderman Ryan asked me to excuse. Alderwoman Evans.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have no questions at this time, and that's it.
Okay. Mr. Jones, I just want to say that I'm excited about the project. I'm very interested in canning and how all that works. So I would be interested in maybe doing a tour of your facility sometime in the next several weeks to maybe just get a look at how you do what you do. We have Pepsi. I like how you said you do business with Pepsi or PepsiCo or whatever they call themselves now. They kind of rebranded and changed their names, but they're in the 22nd Ward, and I'm always trying to connect people that deals with transportations and trailers, and with Pepsi to kind of help facilitate what they're trying to do and create a win-win. And I'm just happy to hear that you're saying that you're doing some canning for Pepsi. I didn't know that. So anytime I can hear that, money is circulating within St. Louis, community, dollars are recirculating, that is just a tremendous asset to the city of St. Louis. So I want to say it sounds like a really good project. And again, I'll follow up with you later. May I get your information from Alderman Guenther and reach out to you and try to take a tour of your facility. I enjoy, taking tours of warehouses and rehab projects and all of that stuff, especially, entities that are really making St. Louis work. So I just want to say again, congratulations on being able to increase your capacity and grow your business, because that's what it's all about at the end of the day. I would hope that, St. Louis become a place where people really want to plant their flag and really grow their businesses, because then we create more jobs for our community. And of course, we grow our tax base and we can provide better city services. Mm-hmm. So that was a lot being said. With that being said, we will transition into Jonathan Ferry to kind of talk to us and walk us through the differences between tax assurance and tax abatement. And Jonathan, if there's any way possible, just for the viewers, people that are looking at us on YouTube, is there a way that you can expand your screen, Zoom, so that people can really see the numbers in a good way, and then kind of shift over as you're talking to and pointing out different
just
numbers?
a second. It's actually Zach's screen, because I don't know why.
I'm sorry. Okay, Zach.
But yeah, if Zach can zoom in on it. Yeah, I don't know. It's I don't know why this isn't working on my computer. It works just fine at home, but whatever. We're here. We're gonna make this work. So can you see that okay now? Does that work?
No, it looks the same to me.
Okay.
If individuals are using their own computer and or any other device, they can expand it themselves.
Oh, okay, well that works. I know on the iPad you can just take your fingers and expand it. That's what I've been able to do. Mm-hmm. But if you're on YouTube, you can't expand it on YouTube. That's the challenge. So who do we have? Is it on Zach's computer or is it on John's computer?
Oh, you're 200%. Are you on Excel though?
Because you can go in
On
Excel
the
and you can
bottom
go
right, if you
to
hit that plus there,
formatting or something.
where it says 100%. Oh, and it's not zooming in. That's weird.
Hey, Jonathan, can you mute
Okay.
your computer while you're giving instructions?
Yeah, sorry about that. Okay, I don't know. He says it's got it zoomed in all the way on his screen, but it's
Okay, all right,
not
no
changing.
problem. Oh, that looks better for some reason. Because I'm
All right,
looking at it, I do YouTube at the same time so I can see what people at home are seeing. So that looks a little better for me. Go ahead,
Okay.
Jonathan.
Alrighty, so I just want to try and walk through an example of what a tax abatement would look like and what a tax assurance would look like. And if you have any questions, feel free to stop me at any point in time. So starting with the one on the top, which is in blue, that's my 10-year tax abatement scenario. In that case, you start with whatever your base taxes are going to be. In this case, I just started with taxes. I didn't start with like the assessed value or anything. But you start with what your base taxes are. In this case, we're looking at $11,868. And then we calculate what the value of the property would be sort of at, the full basically what the increment would be. So it would increase by $40,000, $40,037. That's the amount that would be abatable. If you abate 100% of that, then obviously the only thing that's left being paid is just the base amount, which is the $11,868. And so the abated amount is the full $40,000 value. You could change obviously any of these 100% numbers to any number between 1 and 100, as we've done on a number of projects. But that sort of gives you an idea of how we calculate the amount that's abated, and then the net present value is essentially the sum of these values, but each year is sort of divided by 1 plus a rate of inflation or a growth rate. So I didn't show that here, but that's how you get to the net present value number. If you have any questions about that, I'm happy to try and explain it further. On the tax assurance example, I wanted to show you what happens with the assessed value. So, and it'll become clear probably when I actually get down to the tax bill, but with the assessed value, whether it's under tax assurance or no incentive, what I want you to notice is that the assessed value is the same the first year. It's also the same the second year, but that's just because the way the assessment cycle works, they only assess a property once every 2 years. So whatever it is in the first year, essentially it stays that way for the second year. Technically, I believe they reassess every odd year, so I think I've got my year cycle wrong here, but every odd year they reassess, I believe. And then it's what you can see is that when they reassess under the no incentive, which is the second line here, the value goes up by whatever the incremental change in value is. So in this case, I think we used around 2 or 2.5%, per year per cycle. And then it might have been 1.5% per year, so 3% per cycle. But as you can see under the tax assurance, it just stays the same at what that value was. So the difference between an assessed value, you can see, grows over time between what is being taxed under the tax assurance versus what it would be with nothing at all. So you can see how that translates into the tax bill. So this 51,906 is the same as the base value plus the abated value up here. Okay, that's what that value is that you're looking at, the 51,906. So under both the tax assurance and the no incentive bill, the same amount is being paid sort of that first year, and then also the second year if the reassessment doesn't happen the second year. But then as the assessed value increases, the tax bill also increases under a no assurance scenario, but under an assurance scenario, it stays the same. And so you can see the tax savings as it grows here. So by the end of the tax abatement or tax assurance period, the developer is saving about $14,500 a year. And again, you can calculate the net present value, which comes to this lower number. So it still has a value to the developer, and importantly, it gives the developer absolute certainty as to what their tax bill is going to be. So there's not going to be any surprises down the road. Those are basically the two main benefits of the tax insurance. So if you guys have any questions, I'm happy to try and answer those.
Sure. Let's start with Alderwoman Davis.
I don't have any questions, and I'm going to stay with my level of confusion because when I look at these numbers and they don't add up properly across the years to reflect what you're saying the total incentive is, I'm just going to leave it alone. Thank you. Bye.
Yeah, that's just the net present value. It's different from the nominal value, which if you summed all this up would be the nominal value of the abatement or the nominal value of the savings. So that's what I was trying to say earlier is with the, and it's not shown here, but for example, I don't want to confuse anybody, but in the first year, you would divide the the savings value essentially by 1 plus, let's say you use an inflation value of 3%, you divide it by 1.03. And then in year 2, you divide it by 1.03 raised to the second power, and then the third year 1.03 raised to the third power, and so on and so forth. And so you get a slightly reduced number. It sort of it discounts is what it's doing. It's discounting the value of the taxes saved over time. And so then you sum up those discounted values to get the net present value of a project or of a tax savings. So that kind of tells you, in essence, what that tells you is what the value of the savings is in today's dollars, as opposed to in the value of the dollars as they change over time. Hopefully that was clear. If not, I'm happy to sit down with any of you.
Speaking, it's not because you can't do that. That's a part of having you forecast, is for you to give us the forecasted value of the future in order to get a more real number of what we're actually abating and or assuring. And so, as I said, I'm going to stay where I'm at and I'll continue to listen. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Alderman from the 19th. Alderman from the 25th, Alderman Cone.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and my apologies for not having my camera on, but I'm unfortunately in a situation where I'm not able to turn it on at the moment. But I will say, pretty much what I shared in our last discussion about this particular topic. It's good to see that this is a kind of better deal, I'll say, for the city. But at the same time, it has the same effect, and it is an incentive that we're providing to, a property owner in the city, a business owner, property owner in the city. I guess, Jonathan, one of the nuts and bolts questions that I might have is just around the tax assurance itself. Does that get collected the same way that regular property taxes would be collected? And I guess where I'm going with that is, if it is, I would imagine that it still gets separated out into the various different taxing jurisdictions, the schools, the library, the community college, etc. If it's not, how does that process work?
Sure. So what we do is we actually are creating a payment in lieu of taxes schedule that is paid, and then it is remitted directly to the collector of revenue, and then the collector of revenue divvies it out according to the normal tax rates and sends it to the taxing bodies. Okay, great. Thank you for the clarification. I appreciate it. That's all the questions that I have, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Alderwoman Pam Boyd from the 27th. You're recognized.
The questions have been asked and answered. Thank you.
Okay. Alderwoman Martin.
I echo Alderwoman Boyd. Thank you.
Alderwoman Evans.
Ditto. No
Okay.
questions.
You know, I'm kind of feeling kind of silly because to me, this is still as clear as mud. And I think that, you know, I have a decent comprehension of how tax abatement works. So Jonathan, let me ask you this. So in 2022, how much in taxes is the developer expected to pay if they get tax abatement?
Under a 100% tax abatement, it would be, they would pay $11,868.97.
Okay, and if they get tax assurance, how much would they be expected to pay in 2022?
$51,906.11.
How much?
$51,906.11.
They're gonna pay 51,000 versus the 11,000.
Correct.
Oh, okay. Well, that's starting to add up and make a little more sense to me. Okay, now I get it. Okay. Ooh-wee. It just took that one piece of information for me to get it. The light bulb went off. I'm going through all these charts and matrices trying to figure out how this makes sense. So thank you, Jonathan. I am satisfied with the difference between tax assurance and tax abatement. Okay. Well, all I can say is I appreciate the work of the administration. I appreciate the due diligence of the alderman from the 9th Ward, because I know he doesn't like government giveaways and corporate welfare, but he does understand the value of keeping people in our city and creating jobs, which is a good thing at the end of the day. So looks like a good deal to me. I will go around one more time and ask if any of my colleagues have any questions of the alderman from the 9th before he closed. So Alderman Davis, any questions of the alderman from the 9th?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Alderman, the owner did not answer my one question. So do you have any idea on how they'll go about hiring new employees from this point on?
Yes, absolutely, Alderwoman Davis, because this was one of the things that I spoke with when I met with Mr. Jones. He, like many people in the city of St. Louis, are looking for employees right now. So we are hooking him up with not only Slate, but also Employment Connection. We have Employment Connection doing a lot of work down in the southern part of the 9th Ward off of Merrimack. We have an office there. And so this was one of the things I was going to bring up in my closing, but I'll bring it up now, is that one of the things that I don't believe Mr. Jones patted himself on the back enough here with this development, which is going to be bringing 35 brand new additional warehouse jobs. But out of those 35 jobs, that's going to create about $1.27 million of additional annual payroll. Which we'll be able to collect our earnings tax off of, but also to the credit of Mr. Jones, from speaking with him, he starts everyone off at $15 an hour. He did tell me that because of cost of living and just trying to attract employees, that he is offering more than $15 an hour right now, and they pay 100% of health, vision, dental, and they provide a 401k. So it's a great opportunity, which is why I'm really excited about this project. 35 new jobs with great benefits. And so we are working not only with Slate, but also with Employment Connection, and anyone else, anyone that has someone they know that wants a warehouse job, send them to us. We're looking for people. So thank you for that great question, Alderwoman Davis.
All right, thank you.
Alderman Cone, any questions for the alderman from the 9th before we close?
No questions.
Okay, thank you. Alderwoman Pam Boyd.
No questions.
Alderwoman Martin. Alderwoman Martin.
No questions. I don't know what is going on.
Alderwoman Evans.
Yes, my question was answered when Alderman Guenther told how many jobs would be additional jobs would be offered, and the package looked good. The benefits look pretty good for whomever is hired on, and I just wanted to make a statement, not a question.
Thank you, Alderwoman. Before I go back to the Alderman, I'm going to go back to Mr. Jones. Mr. Jones, would it be okay if the Alderman shares your information with me? Because I am serious about wanting to take a look at your facility and do a tour.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, thank you. All right, with that, Alderman Guenther, if you don't feel like you have closed, go ahead and close.
Thank you, Chairman Boyd. Just once again, thank you, members of the committee. I hope that by bringing this back a second time, hearing from the owner and getting a little bit of clarification from SLDC about the difference between abatement and assurance, I hope I've satisfied everyone's curiosities. I know, as the chairman said, sometimes looking at these numbers, it's clear as mud for me as well. So I wanted to assure everyone that this is a project that I believe in. It's a project that is showing, you know, the support that you all provided with the Anheuser-Busch expansion is trickling down to, and I hate to use that word, but it is moving into new opportunities for other businesses, whether it's the warehousing, the trucking, even right now, if you saw all the construction going on, there's a lot of opportunity that has arisen with bringing $175 million to Anheuser-Busch. So I really appreciate everyone, and I will be more than happy to not only provide Mr. Jones information so that we can do a tour. I think it would be great to do not only a tour of the warehousing, but kind of follow the whole line up all the way up into Anheuser-Busch so that everyone can see kind of the full process of what this has led to. And I again appreciate everyone, and I would ask for favorable consideration for Resolution 39.
Okay, with that being said, I want to say, Alderman from the Ninth Ward, I think you've done a very admirable and a good job at bringing everybody together, to bring clarity to the situation, allowing the owner to speak so we have, you know, a more intimate knowledge about what's actually going on and how this works through the whole supply chain. So I want to thank you for that. And with that being said, I am going to make a motion to move that Resolution 39 comes out of committee with a due pass recommendation.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Davis.
Aye.
Alderman Cone. Alderman Coder. Alderwoman Boyd.
Aye.
Alderman Muhammad. Alderwoman Martin.
Aye.
Alderman Ryan. Alderwoman Evans.
Aye.
Chairman Boyd.
Aye.
Alderman Cone.
No, just kidding. I'm on.
Oh, I'm sorry, that wasn't I, right?
It wasn't I.
Okay.
Thank you. Alderman Coder, Alderman Muhammad, Alderman Ryan. 6 aye votes.
Okay, by your vote, you have passed Resolution 39 out of committee with a due pass recommendation. Thank you. Next before us is Resolution number 57, sponsored by Alderwoman Christina Ingrassia, who's on a sabbatical right now, I believe, and we're going to have that handled by Alderwoman Martin. Alderwoman Martin, you're recognized on Resolution number 57.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I feel like I'm Groundhog Day. So I will do my best with this, but again, I am presenting this on behalf of Alderwoman Ingrassia. She could not be here due to travel plans. And this is really a resolution on behalf of a company by the name of Deli Star. They're looking for a tax exemption on building materials. When I asked Alderwoman Ingrassia what what the construction work was going to look like. The company has promised to pay prevailing or area standard wages, and then obviously prevailing wage with the incentives. And they already have their game together on WMBE and other minority requirements, which is refreshing. They are going into a LEED certified building and 3049 Shoto, but they are also implementing additional LEED certified structures. With that, I know that some SLDC staff, as well as Michelle Stuckey with the partnership and Jennifer Fisher from the company Deli Star, are here to speak on behalf of this project, and I will let them take the tough questions. Thank you.
I'm sorry, Alderwoman Martin. Man, I'm multitasking too much. So why don't we go ahead and have a presentation by SLDC to get more information on what's going on. And we have for SLDC is Michelle Stuckey. No, she's with St. Louis Economic Development Partnership.
I'm not sure if Zach is here on behalf of this project. Or
John, this project came from the partnership, but Sparkman can go into further details. Mark Sparkman, he represents the city. Also, John here has scored it, so he can show you the scorecard also.
And actually, I'd suggest Michelle Stuckey kick us off and introduce the company representatives.
Hi, I'm Michelle Stuckey.
Okay, Michelle, hold on for a quick second so that we all get some clarity on what we're doing. So we have St. Louis Development Corporation, who works on behalf of the city of St. Louis, who Zach and Jonathan all work within that entity. And then we have the St. Louis Partnership, which is a combination of, it's a little convoluted, of SLDC and the county's economic development arm. There are employees that work for the partnership that are paid for by the city of St. Louis that looks at the county and the city as a whole, as a regional perspective. Michelle, I'm gonna tell you, this is the first time I think we're doing this where St. Louis Partnership is actually doing a presentation and not really SLDC. So I'm looking forward to how this collaboration works. And I know your name and I know who you are, but it's been a long time since I've seen your name. So if you would just, again, kind of tell us who you are, what you do for the partnership, and again, how that marriage works, so that partnership works, and then go into why we're talking about this resolution, if you don't mind.
Hi, I'm Michelle Stuckey. I'm with the St. Louis Economic Development Partnership. We are an organization that represents both St. Louis City and St. Louis County and we represent the city as it relates to business development efforts. So my role with the partnership is I work with businesses that are located both inside the city of St. Louis as well as St. Louis County, but also we handle the attraction efforts for both the city and the county. So in this instance, in working with Deli Star, this is a company that formerly was located in Illinois. They had a fire at their facility, which led them to begin a search to find a location for a new manufacturing site. So they looked at several different locations, Illinois, Tennessee, as well as Missouri. And we at the partnership worked in conjunction with the city, with SLDC, in crafting this proposal of incentives to win the company for the city of St. Louis, to have them locate here. There were consultants involved. They looked at other locations, and obviously the company is here. They can speak to their analysis and their choice of the city of St. Louis, but that provides you with a little bit of background on how we are currently here at this moment in front of HUDZ.
Okay, Michelle, so tell us more about the resolution and what its intent is.
I was gonna say, if you give me a moment, let me pull up the resolution.
Just to explain, what exactly are we doing?
So this is a resolution for a sales tax exemption on construction materials to be used at the location they've identified on Shodo. It will be, in which Mark Spikerman's here can speak in more depth about the actual resolution and the legalities of it, but it is a resolution for a sales tax exemption on the construction materials.
In a nutshell, basically, that's what it is. Okay.
Correct.
So why don't we go ahead and recognize Mark Spikerman? Is that right, Mark?
That is correct. I'm
okay. So Mark, tell us again who you're with and how you're involved in a project, and explain to us what the value of these incentives are, please.
Sure. I am a attorney with Gilmore and Bell. We serve as outside counsel to St. Louis Development Corp on incentive projects. This resolution asks the city if they want to use the incentives available under Chapter 100 of the Missouri statutes. This is an incentive tool that the city uses, once or twice a year, usually with companies that involve Michelle's work, such as Anheuser-Busch or Square have been recent recipients. It's a process, and this resolution sort of kicks off the process. It authorizes the company to start receiving that sales tax exemption on construction materials. And then it also sets the framework for the attorneys and others to go prepare the documents that are necessary for real property and personal property abatement as well. And this is, if you look at the resolution, you'll see, looks like the fourth whereas clause down there. It talks about real property abatement for 10 years, personal property abatement for 10 years. And if this resolution were adopted by the full Board of Aldermen, we would start putting together the documents necessary to implement that program. Under Chapter 100, we also need to prepare a cost benefit analysis and provide that to the taxing districts and give them time period to review it, similar to what occurs with TIF. If all goes well, we would come back in the fall with a final board bill with all the Chapter 100 documents, the actual contracts to be approved.
So let me ask this question, Mark. So in the resolution, it talks about 50. Doesn't it talk about Chapter 100? So Chapter 100 is totally the sales tax exemption. Is that what that is?
So there are 3 available incentives under Chapter 100. The sales tax exemption on construction materials, property abatement, and personal property abatement. You can implement all 3 or any one when you do a Chapter 100 project. In this case, the company is asking for all 3. We do, with respect to the abatements, there will be pilots during that period, so it's not 100% abatement. With respect to the real property, you're looking at sort of a base pilot of $36,000 plus 50% of any increase in assessed value resulting from the company's investment. Personal property, they are still negotiating the level of abatement with the city.
So what you're saying is the resolution covers tax abatement, right?
It states an intent to, and I don't want to mince words here because The final approval will come in the fall in the form of a board bill. This is a statement of intent.
Okay, so read for me, I'm sorry, Mark, read for me the statement of intent, because I don't see a statement of intent. I see statements of fact. So read to me exactly where it says we intend to.
Section number 1, the Board of Aldermen hereby directs the Chapter 100 plan to be prepared and states that its intent to participate in a Chapter 100 bond transaction to facilitate the tax exemption.
But then when you come down to the 4th whereas, it says the city desires to cause a plan for an industrial development project as on the requirements of the Act Chapter 100 plan to be prepared for the project. This plan shall provide 1, purchase of construction materials used to complete the project improvements to be exempt from the payment of sales tax. 2, ad valorem real estate tax be partially abated for a period of 10 years through the imposition of payments in lieu of tax equal to $36,000 plus 50% of ad valorem real estate tax that would be generated by an increase in assessed value over the current assessed value of the project improvement. That's all. So up here, you say it's in the first paragraph, you say we intend to. In the 4th paragraph, you say we're going to.
So the you in that whereas clause, you're directing, the city is directing SLDC and myself to prepare a plan under the statute that provides for those incentives. That once that plan is prepared, it has to come back to you in the form of a final bill in the fall.
Okay. So let me ask you this as a lawyer. If we do this and approve this in a resolution, couldn't the Chapter 100 plan come back and say, we're going to do 15 years?
If it came back at 15 years, you would have to approve an ordinance that says that. Your future ordinance could trump this resolution. But I would assume there'd have to be a very good reason why that change was made and why, and if there wasn't a very good reason, I assume people would vote no.
Okay, so in the 4th paragraph, number 3, the ad valorem personal property tax be partially abated for a period of 10 years through the imposition of to be determined amounts of payments in lieu of taxes. So what we're saying there is, I think I heard you say, we intend to get some type of abatement from the personal property taxes, but we're just not sure what that looks like right now. Is that how I read that right?
That is correct. When the offer letter went out to the company to attract them to St. Louis, it included that language because the city was seeking more information on the type of equipment, how it depreciates, when the schedule for installation, so that John could run his numbers and make a fair recommendation regarding pilots.
Okay. I normally would go through the committee before I make my comments, but this is something that's coming real fast, and I'm trying to really wrap my arms around it. Because I think I probably have more experience. Well, Alderwoman Marlene Davis, and I probably have more experience in this than most members of the committee. And this is a good thing at the end of the day. I'm kind of confused that SLDC is not taking a part, that Jonathan is not making a presentation about, what these incentives, really look like. For some reason, I'm not comfortable, but I'm going to, okay, so where is Dale Rousseff? I need to talk to SLDC.
I'll get Dale, but Alderman John has a presentation, so.
He does?
Yeah, he has a scorecard. He scored this and everything. So.
Okay, all right. Okay, so let's do that. Let's transition, but I want to talk to Dale Rousseff. So let's transition into a presentation by Jonathan Fair.
Okay, let's see if we can do this share screen thing this time, unless Zach has it. All right, exactly as I have it. All right, I'm gonna try and share this. See if this works.
And I guess the reason I'm confused is the way I look at my sign up is the only people to be speaking on Resolution 53 is the partnership, which, you know, I don't have a problem with the partnership. We're all supposed to work together. But generally, when we're doing stuff like this, SLDC takes the lead role, and then other people just kind of present. So maybe it was just presented to me, you know, in an unorthodox way, but I just want to make sure that we do things decent and in order, and then, you know, that I'm not confused and nor is other people confused about how we're working collaboratively with the partnership. Because it seems like the partnership pretty much put this together. But certainly SLDC has a major role as well, because at the end of the day, the city is the entity that's going to implement.
Correct.
Mr. Chairman,
Alderman from the 19th.
I'm actually leaving and going back and forth into two different meetings.
Okay.
May I just make a statement very quickly, because I do
Absolutely.
need to. I wanted to share with the committee that this process is no different than a memorandum of understanding or a letter of intent. It is not the final. So what we're doing is giving them the opportunity to go back and negotiate in order to get the final. So this is not final. This is just saying, these are our intentions. This is what we're going to go back and negotiate with. And as it was said earlier, the final will come back to us for our approval, and it will follow the normal process of us finalizing a bill. So, and the attorney sitting there and the others can add to that, but that's my understanding.
That is correct, Alderwoman Davis, and the company can speak to this, but the timing here is a little unorthodox, and the reason for that is we've got a company that had a facility burned down, and they're eager to get into a new facility. Getting this resolution before the recess lets them jumpstart that process. All subject to final approval in the fall of a board bill.
Put it on here.
Okay. Jonathan, how is your computer? Is it like from the 80s?
I don't know why it's not working, but every time I hit screen share, it goes into screen share as pause. And when I try to hit resume share, it just doesn't work. It just locks up. It just goes back into being paused again. So I don't know.
Okay, so while Jonathan is doing his due diligence to try to figure out how to share his screen with his computer, Dell, so why are we dealing with this at the last minute? And something just doesn't sound, I mean, the deal sounds good, but it just seems like we have so much more work to do.
You do, you don't have a deal yet.
Okay, Alderman from the 19th.
I'm sorry, I'm gone.
No, I think Alderwoman Davis.
I will come to you, Alderwoman Martin. Dale, go ahead.
No, I think Alderwoman Davis is absolutely correct. This is essentially giving us a green light to try and negotiate a deal. And let me just back up a little bit, that the reason it's not a normal Chapter 99 and we're going through that process is because the building, we would have to blight the property, and this particular property is not a piece of property that we feel comfortable in trying to find blighted. So this is an alternate method, which as Mark Spikerman mentioned, we've used several other times, and it seems to work very effectively. But all we're looking for now is an ability to negotiate over the summer, and then in the fall we'll bring back hopefully a deal that very much reflects what this resolution has in it, and then you can negotiate or you can discuss it then, and there'll be a board bill before you.
So Dale, basically this is a letter of intent.
That's true.
Okay. Interesting. I'm going to come back to you, but I'm going to go to Alderwoman Martin right now.
Thanks. I think I've had my hand raised for a while, but I think that it's been covered.
I'm sorry.
Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Oh, it's okay. I just, I think what I wanted to say has been said, but also I'm just reiterating that there was also the fire incident that was a hiccup as well for this company. So I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
Yeah, and let me be clear. I'm not trying to be an obstructionist. I'm pretty process oriented, and the reason I feel trepidation is that it just seems like we missed a whole bunch of steps for some reason. Like maybe people weren't communicating with each other, and now backs are against the wall and the sky's gonna fall because, you know, we're getting ready to go on summer break. And that bothers me. You know, well, that bothers me a lot.
Sure.
Because I'm tired of, go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I understand. No, I understand what you're saying. And I think that this isn't just like a brand new project. It's a shared space. And also that, like I said, the incident has also caused a hiccup. So it is different than just starting completely anew. And also, I know I've gone through this before in my ward. It's a little different when the partnership's involved, which I think is a positive thing. I understand your trepidation, but I don't think there's anything. I know I'm new to this deal, but I don't think there's anything necessarily nefarious going on. It's just that this is just different project than what we're used to seeing. Thank you.
Yeah. I don't think anything's nefarious as well. I'm just a little agitated right now about this process, but I'm going to go ahead, Jonathan. We had you up. I was going to yield to you to go ahead and talk about your scorecard.
All right, I think Zach's got it. He's going to try and share his screen here. And I'll talk to it.
See, there we go.
Okay. So, so the project here, what we're looking at is an existing building that sits on Shoto. I forget the cross street that it's at, but it's the Villa Lighting building, and part of that building essentially is being unused, and so they're going to take about half of the structure. So that it gets a little bit strange. We're not going to be abating the entire parcel. It's going to be sort of subdivided, and we're only going to be abating the portion of the parcel that they're going into. And then the tax abatement too is a little bit odd because, as Mark Speicherman explained, rather than just being a base percentage, we're going to be taking the current sort of value and reducing it to be equal to what their value is at their other facility before it had burned down, sort of like a tax equivalence. And then we're going to abate 50% of the improvements. So in the end, they end up, they end up paying more taxes than what it is after we reduce it by to the 36,000. But it's just wanted to sort of like state that up front, that it's sort of, that's the reason why it's structured the way it is. So I don't know if you guys can see, I guess Zach needs to scroll down a little bit, but the benefit to the city from this project over 10 years is going to be about 2.8 million, and about 6.2 million over a 20-year period. The school district, that's over the existing base. So you can see that's the base is, before we subtract it down, the existing amount. So it's going to be generating a significantly positive amount of new revenue to the city. And also, it's going to be slightly positive to the school district over 10 years, but then it'll start generating a fairly significant amount of new revenue to the school district over a 20-year period as well. And then compared to the neighborhood, similar properties, basically, it'll also outperform those, exceeding those numbers by about almost $2 million to the city over 10 years and almost $4.8 million over 20 years. So the value of this tax abatement is $2.3 million. And then the, I apologize, I don't have it on here, but the value of the sales tax exemption is also about another $1 million. So it's about $3.3 million of total incentive. The project scores sort of a perfect 5 out of 5. As far as rate of return, we don't, so it's because this is going to be an owner occupied structure, it's not really based on the, normally we calculate the rate of return based on the incomes and the cash flows off of the property to sort of like an owner who is not the tenant. In this case, their real estate development is really sort of a cost input to their balance sheet, to their cash flow statement. And it's really their operations where their return comes from. And because I don't have that information, I'm not able to say what their rate of return is on this project. But it does score very well as far as revenue to the city goes, which is why we're comfortable moving forward and recommending it.
I certainly have some more questions, but I'm gonna go to my committee members first. Alderwoman Davis. Alderwoman Davis. Oh, I'm sorry. We're gonna move on to Alderman Cone. I think he told me he was gonna step away and come back. Alderwoman Pam Boyd.
Man, it's my turn, huh?
Yes, ma'am.
I guess I'm pretty much like Alderman Boyd. I have usually SLDC kind of leads the charge on things when it's talking about projects. And so now I'm trying to get the understanding. So I was multitasking also. So this is a tax abatement piece. No. I'm just asking the question. Okay, it's not. All right. And so I don't have any questions. I'm just listening more. Thank you.
Alderwoman Boyd and Jonathan or Zachary, Dale Rousset, correct me if I'm wrong. So basically this resolution is going to upfront give sales tax exemption. And then we're going to come back and have conversation about the level of abatement and the level of property, I guess, abatement as well. Am I correct, Jonathan? Oh, no, Dale. Let me go to Dale. He's the head right now.
No, I think,
so Dale, am I correct?
Right. I mean, as I said, I think the only urgency, as has been mentioned, is the company has had a fire, so they have to get started quickly, and otherwise there probably wouldn't be an urgency. But they're in an awkward position. We have a huge number of jobs that can come into the city as a result of this, and a very large investment. So we thought we better jump at that opportunity.
Dale, is this basically a sales tax exemption resolution? That's what I want to be clear.
Well, that's only one part of it.
I know that, and the rest of it is we intend to. So if we pass this out, theoretically next week, the owner can start getting sales tax exemptions from building materials to do building, right?
I'm going to let Spikerman answer that question.
Okay.
That is correct, please. Chairman Boyd. They will be able to get a project exemption certificate so that they can order their construction materials free of sales tax. And if anything unexpected happens in the fall and the final board bill is not adopted, they'll have to pay it all back.
Gotcha. Okay. Alderwoman Martin, I know you were handling this, but did you have any comments or questions right now?
I don't have any questions, but I know Alderwoman Ingrassia did mention that there would be the second part of it. But again, because of circumstances, this would allow them to move forward, and it might be a little unorthodox, but we do these types of resolutions quite often for several businesses. It's just we're not used to seeing it as it's standalone. I think I'm right there. I hope I'm right.
You're used to, yeah, basically it's not as convoluted as I agree. Okay, Alderwoman Evans.
No questions at this time.
Okay, I think I'll go to Mark. So Mark, I looked up this address, and this is a good buddy of mine's building at 34. This is the Villa Lighting at 3049 Shoto. Is that correct?
That's correct.
That is correct, yes.
And Villa and Dale, you correct me if I'm wrong. Currently, 3049 is already under Chapter 99 or so. It's currently being tax abated. Is that correct?
I think that's over with now.
It's over with, because I looked on the assessor's website, and it says a code, and the code suggests that it's abated under the city statute and city ordinance. But maybe that's wrong and outdated.
I think it just came off of
a couple years ago.
So.
I couldn't hear. I mean, let me go to Mark. Mark has the floor right now. So Mark, go ahead. You're the lawyer, so go ahead.
Yeah, I think, and John Ferry was just mentioning this, I think it rolled off maybe a year or two ago.
Okay, so the city, that's not dated. And let me be sure I'm clear, Mark. So we're adding another building to this, or we're doing a build out from what they already have? What are we doing?
So about half of the building is underutilized right now by Villa.
Okay.
That half Deli Star will occupy and do a whole tenant build out for their facility.
Okay. 'Cause I've been in that facility, my property on Martin Luther King. I've used Villa Lighting, so I'm familiar with the facility, and it's a first-class facility. Okay. I heard Jonathan say they got a 5 out of 5, which I totally disagree. And I'm not as smart as he is, but I know enough about distressed areas to know that there's just no way that this property can get a 5 out of 5. There's just no way that it can get a 5 out of 5. When you look at the surrounding property around there, and you look at the redevelopment plans that's happening, down the street from there, there is just absolutely no way that this could be a 5 out of 5. There's no way that you can convince me of that. If you'd have said a 3 out of 5, you probably sold me on it, but it's not a 5 out of 5 because Villa Lighting, if you go by there, and this is a first-class facility. What we're doing here is retrofitting it for a company that's coming in, which I have the job number gets me right up front. Hello, 300 some jobs. That gets me. That gets my interest, right? But I think it's disingenuous to suggest that somehow this building requires tax abatement, but that's down the road. And I did hear you say that you're kind of having little issues with trying to do tax abatement with that. I get that. Okay. But it's easy for people that's just listening to us to just, have an understanding that, it's going to be tax abated. And with the 5 out of 5 stars, it really leads me to believe that it's worthy of tax abatement. I mean, anything that gets 5 out of 5 stars certainly is blighted and deserves the maximum tax abatement. Now, Jonathan, I see
you want me to respond to that?
Yes, I want to give you a chance to respond because I'm willing to duke it out.
All right. I need Zach to share the screen ideally, but I can talk to it without that until then. So I just want to sort of, I guess, start by going back over what we're measuring when we're doing the score. And the score is simply how much revenue. So if you think about it as like just a simple division problem in a way, it's a little more complicated than that, but it's sort of like a simple division problem. You take the amount of revenue that the project is going to generate over a 10-year period, let's say, And then you take the amount of revenue that we have calculated is sort of what we need a project, or when we say what we think a project has the capability of generating on a per square foot of land area or per acre of land area basis. And we have to compare, we have to see what this property type compares to. And
Jonathan, I'm sorry, can you speak up a little bit? It seems like you're starting to fade out on me.
Yeah, sorry. So what we do is we look at what this property compares to, sort of what its comparative set is. And one of the things we looked at primarily is what its land use is, and it's an industrial land use. And so we compare this property to other industrial uses, particularly industrial uses that are right around it in this area, this neighborhood and in this zip code. And so that's how we sort of come up with the comparative number. Essentially, that's what becomes the denominator. And we want to see how this project compares to that sort of comparison. Now, the chart that we have shows that, and Zach would have to pull it up because my screen share doesn't work. But it shows on that, if you guys can see the handout, if you have it in color, the yellow is the revenue that's coming to the city from this project, and then the blue is the neighborhood average for a project that would be the same amount of land area. So that's sort of the neighborhood comparison.
Now, of course, Jonathan, you're talking to us as if we still have your screen up, but go ahead.
Right. No, oh, here we go. Here it comes. So yeah, so there, so that yellow is the amount of revenue that the project is going to generate to the city. The blue here is the neighborhood average that a comparative property would generate, comparative industrial property, and that's sort of adjusted for the land size, so it's same amount per square foot. And just to be clear, I only am looking at the revenue from this project. I'm not including any of the villa lighting revenue. So it's just this project. And then the the orangish reddish color there, that's sort of what we have added on sort of as what needs to be reached in order to sort of hit our sustainable financial sustainability for the city. So basically every property in the city has had sort of like an add-on between what it is today and what it needs to be to sort of hit that number. And then this dashed line is actually the city average. That's the for a property this size, commercial property this size, so all commercial property in the city, that's what the average is. And commercial industrial are sort of lumped together for that comparison. And generally speaking, anywhere in the city, industrial on a revenue per square foot of land is actually usually very low, because it just usually has a lot of takes up a lot of space. A lot of times there's a lot of storage, a lot of machines, a lot of what have you, not necessarily a lot of jobs per acre or payroll. And usually property taxes are also sort of lower on a per acre basis. So when you're comparing those two things together, this project by comparison generates a significantly higher amount of revenue than those comparison projects. And that's when you compare it, that's what gives it the 5 out of 5, if that makes sense. So it just also to be clear, the dark gray line at the bottom, that is the current tax revenue coming from the project as well. So anyway, so it's the score, again, it's all sort of relative to what sort of is potential for the property. And again, it's because this is industrial. It actually is worth noting the last one, the STC warehouse, is a big part of the reason why it was lower is as I said, we compare it to what's around it. And what's around STC warehouse is Anheuser-Busch, and Anheuser-Busch generates a whole lot more revenue than your typical industrial. And so when we compared STC warehouses, which has relatively low revenue per acre compared to what's going on in its neighborhood, it was a much lower score. So that's sort of how all this stuff is calculated and construed, if that hopefully provides clarity.
Okay. I'm still not convinced, but I put in a request to have Neil Richardson give me a call. And if I have to take a recess, I need to talk to Neil Richardson about this. But in the meantime, we're going to go to the developer, the owner, to hear from him, or I'm sorry, the chief of staff, Jennifer Fishering. I hope I got that right. So I'm going to ask that Jennifer, Ms. Fishering, talk to us about Deli Star, what's going on, what they're trying to accomplish, and just give the compelling argument. So is Ms. Fishering available?
Yes, thank you, Chairman Boyd. I am wondering, the owner and CEO of our company, Justin Siegel, is here with me. Do both of us have permission to add a bit of information?
Ma'am, make the compelling argument.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to let Justin, our owner and CEO, begin.
Yeah, and thank you, Chairman Boyd, and the rest of the HUDZ committee for giving us the floor. We really appreciate it, given our situation. I think, it does seem rushed, so we do apologize for that, but there is a reason for that. Our business is down. We had the fire of our USDA facility in Illinois. And so really the abatement on those construction materials can really get us up and going. This is a 6-month to 9-month construction process at, like we said, at the Villa Lighting building. So, Deli Star CEO Justin Siegel, and Deli Star Corporation's a family-owned, people-first company that also does food innovation. We have an innovation center in St. Louis right now, and we had 2 facilities in Illinois. Like we said, the USDA facility produces deli meats and sous vide proteins, as well as sous vide vegetables, sous vide grains, and plant-based proteins. That's the facility that burned down. We produced in 2020, we produced 24 million pounds out of that facility as an essential business to the food supply chain. And despite COVID, we had our best year in our company history, in our 34-year company history. As a critical part of the food supply chain, and as actually a resident of the 6th Ward of St. Louis, and my director of supply chain, my brother Andrew Siegel, is also a resident of the 6th Ward. We're very excited to bring the company headquarters to the city of St. Louis and in the 6th Ward. As a critical part of the food supply chain, we're here to stay. We want to build St. Louis as a food ag hub and be recognized as the world's best refrigerated distribution location and network. And, these incentives are vital to get us back and going. And opening a state-of-the-art facility, LEED certified and organic, can produce the safest, highest quality proteins and eventually return us to profitability, return our employees to profitability, looking at 325 employees, but most importantly, get us to being a proud member of the St. Louis community. So our commitment to the St. Louis, with that, I'll turn it over to Jennifer, our chief of staff, and she can talk quickly and hopefully update you on our commitment to the community.
Thank you, and huge thanks again. I want to reiterate our gratitude. I know that you all work tirelessly on a regular basis, and I know recently with the American Rescue Plan Act, you've been putting extra hours in. We acknowledge that, and we're so grateful for your time. I want to highlight a little bit when we talk about jobs with Deli Star, who we are as a company. We're not just talking hiring 325 people. We have an approach that is about the whole person. So we are talking living wages, excellent benefits. Every single level of employee across the organization gets exceptional benefits, traditional and unique, including every single level being eligible for bonuses. And I can get into further details about that whole package if you're interested, but we really are not just talking jobs, we're talking about a life and a culture that is livable and encouraging growth within the company. I also want to note that we acknowledge, and I'm hearing the hesitancy, I understand what a big deal it is, the discussion that we're having and the implications. So I want to note part of this resolution is our commitment to a partnership with St. Louis Public Schools. And part of that partnership is training and career paths for students in St. Louis Public Schools. We met with Neil Richardson once and have plans to meet with him again next week. We're really excited about that opportunity to provide the education in our community stewardship framework. Industry education is already one of the very clear commitments of ours. We have an existing relationship with St. Louis University at our Food Discovery Center, and we're thrilled to see how that translates and how we can really grow and make a commitment to St. Louis Public Schools. The other thing I want to highlight just about value, yes, there's dollars in the region and we're proud of that and excited about that, but we also know that food insecurity is real in the city of St. Louis. And as a food company, giving back and addressing food insecurity has always been part of who this company is. And we would be humbled and honored to partner with people in a real way to address food insecurity, not only in the ward, but the city of St. Louis at large. To give you an idea of volume, last year alone, we donated nearly 300,000 pounds of fresh protein that's already cooked, ready to eat, and the exact type of food that is appropriate and really addressing food insecurity, health, and wellness. And then the last thing I'll say, which I think it is resonating even more now, is, you know, we've never been through this before. We're so excited. I mean, even though it's been very upsetting and traumatic to lose our plant, we're very excited about the prospect of being in the city of St. Louis. But we also know that because it is rushed, because our business relies on it, we haven't had the time to build real, authentic relationships with all of you and other people in the city, which we know have tremendous value. So as a company, we are committed to building real relationships and listening and actually contributing back in a way that has a meaningful impact, in addition to the revenue that we've already talked about, in addition to the jobs. And I sort of just want to close on that, saying that that's our commitment to round out the whole picture. You know, the jobs, the commitment to the city, the revenue, and our commitment to community. We don't want to be separate. We want to be part of it. We welcome any and all questions. I know, we don't know each other well, but that's part of who we are.
Okay, thank you very much for that presentation. Certainly, first time I've heard, but I'm impressed with what I've heard. And currently, where are you located again? Well, that burned, a facility that burned, where is that located?
Oh, go ahead.
Our USDA facility was in Fayetteville, Illinois, and we have a FDA facility in Belleville, Illinois right now, and then a food discovery center at the Foundry that we just opened last month. And so the USDA facility was, the largest producer of our products, of our proteins. And that's the one that we lost, and we've been out of business on those proteins for the last 6 months.
I'm trying to, it's my iPad, I'm sorry about that. Okay, I'm going to take a 5-minute recess. I'm going to talk to the director of SLDC. I just want to get some clarity on some things. So SLTV, we're going to take about a 5-minute recess. I will recontact you when I'm ready to go back to the committee hearing, okay? We're now in recess. Okay, everybody, welcome back. The Housing, Urban Development and Zoning Committee is reconvening. I've had a conversation with the executive director of SLDC. I think I have a better understanding of what's going on. Again, this is unorthodox. What we're doing is not something that we've done before. I'm somebody that's always looking for a win-win. I want to make sure that, not only is the city, not being taken advantage of, but the the developer also is not being taken advantage of and has been made false promises. So based on the presentation that was made from Deli Star, what I heard them say was that they're partnering with St. Louis Public Schools. They want to get started right away. But let me go back to Miss Fishering. Miss Fishering, you're the owner. Again, you're the owner, right?
I am not. Justin Siegel and his family are the owners, and
okay.
I am Deli Star's chief of staff.
Okay, so Justin, you're part of the ownership group, right?
Correct, yes.
Okay, so I just want to be clear. So is it your understanding that if we pass this today, the only expectation that you have that is that you will receive sales tax exemption on building materials and a commitment to negotiate tax abatement on real estate and property tax? Is that correct?
Yes, exactly. That's how we understood it.
Okay, and so you understand from the city standpoint, there are no promises that you will get either one of the other two.
Correct. I understand that is we would come back in the fall.
Okay, I just want to be clear because I don't want you guys to get screwed and I don't want the city to get screwed. You know, I'm a very fair person. I'm a very practical person, and I've just never heard of doing deals like this before. But I certainly understand the situation that you guys find yourself in with having a fire at the previous facility and working on trying to, rebuild as soon as possible to create and bring jobs. And I certainly appreciate you guys, wanting to relocate in the city, with all the drama people talk about the city and why they wouldn't come. So I want to applaud you for that. And I appreciate that. I also want to say that based on the conversation about partnering with St. Louis Public Schools, that makes me happy. I'm a product of St. Louis Public Schools. If there's a way that you guys can work with St. Louis Public Schools and, create jobs for the students, as they come out of that system, or maybe while they're even in high school, that's a phenomenal opportunity. I'm someone who took advantage of a work study program where I worked in my senior year of high school. I went to high school a half a day, and the other half a day I worked. So what I'm hearing is you guys are committed to working with St. Louis Public Schools as it relates to jobs. Is that correct?
Yeah, not only committed, excited, providing a culinary tract or food production tract for St. Louis Public School students.
Yeah, and just so you know, we've had conversations about this with our director of operations and our director of people, and they're equally as excited to make meaningful opportunities for students. And
okay. It's too bad that the Alderwoman from the 6th Ward is not here. I certainly would have questions for her. I appreciate the Alderwoman from the 11th moving the bill on her behalf. Politics in St. Louis is becoming, kind of ugly. And sometimes it's almost like we throw the baby out with the bathwater, but I'm not that kind of person. One part of me says this is a no-go because of the way that we're taught about incentives and how we're going to transform incentives in certain neighborhoods. And probably that neighborhood doesn't qualify as much as other neighborhoods. But at the end of the day, I'm somebody that's proud of my city, and I care about my city, and I care about jobs. I care about jobs for children in our St. Louis public school system, and I want all of us to thrive and be successful. And so with that, I'm going to make a motion that we pass Resolution 57 out of committee with a due pass recommendation.
Second.
It's been moved to second. I'm going to request previous roll. Hearing no objection to previous roll, resolution number 57 comes out of committee with a due pass recommendation. Thank you, everybody who has presented all the hard work. I look forward to further conversation with SLDC about how this moves forward. Again, I'm hoping that it's a win-win for Deli Star. I've looked them up and I've done some research on them quickly during this committee. I'm very impressed with what they offer for the St. Louis region. And I think, again, it may be a facility once you guys get up and go, please reach out to me and invite me to take a tour of your facility and how you really impact the food chain.
We'd love to have you. Thank you to all of you.
Thank you, Chairman.
Okay. that, let's see, we didn't have any minutes to approve. Madam Clerk, am I good? Are we good to go to announcements? Forget anything?
I thought we had minutes, but I don't have the agenda in front of me. I'm looking.
Okay, I got it says none on my agenda.
Oh, you're right. That was,
Okay.
yeah, you're right.
All righty. So with that, everybody, I'm going to move that the HUDZ committee is adjourned for today. Thank you very much.